Hi everyone, Alan Lepofsky from Constellation Research here, coming to you from Jive Software's JiveWorld 2016 conference at the Aria Hotel in Las Vegas. This morning began with a keynote that featured Jive executives, customers, partners, and even a futurist, talking about sort of the theme of the conference, the power of connection. Now, as part of that, they kept emphasizing this concept of it's all about the people-centric. People is part of the Internet of People instead of the Internet of Things. Now, while this is certainly an important theme, and obviously I believe people are a key component of collaboration, what bothers me about this vision, and I think it's a little bit limiting, for many years I've been talking about this. For example, if we take a look at this blog post of mine from 2011, I talk about the hype that's happening at that time, and that was 5 years ago, around people-centric computing. And I said, yes, of course people are very important to things, but if social are all about people, we'd just be creating dating sites or phone books, things that were people-centric. So if it's not about people, well, then is it the cliche, it's all about content? Content is king. And I said, no, it's not about content either. If it was just about content, we would just have a bunch of static knowledge bases sitting out there, Wikipedias and things where nothing was actually really happening. So you can't just make it about people and you can't just make it about content. So what do I think is important about the future of collaboration? I think it's about the actions. I think it's about the things that tie together people, content, people and people, people to content, people to machines, all of those different things. So it's all this series of actions or verbs, sharing and following and friending and circling and liking and commenting and watching and all of these things I think are what is the most important thing about the future of collaboration. But anyway, let's get back to the actual announcements that were happening at JiveWorld. So yesterday they introduced this concept of the Jive Work Hub. At the time, they sort of explained it as, the future of the portfolio, where today there's two products, Jive N for internal, Jive X for external. They're really sort of deconstructing those components down to a set of core Jive services, things like sharing and documents and people and all sorts of components. And then once they have those components, they can sort of reconstruct the product and make it suitable for a bunch of use cases. Now, today they focused on one of those specific sets of services, or one of those services themselves, and it's called Jive Identity. And now Jive Identity is a big deal for Jive customers. I spoke to several of them after the keynote, and really what it is the idea that no matter how many communities you are a part of, you will have a single identity across all of those different properties. So think of what that means. Today, if you have an internal community for your company and then external communities for your customers or partners, you have to log on twice. You have to have a profile in each of those communities. Or if you have multiple customer communities or all sorts of different places that you log on to, you are a different person across those. Search is different across those. The content you follow, notifications, all of those things are different at a per community basis. In the future, what Jive is going to do is make it so that you have a single identity across all of the places that you're part of. So you will have the ability to search across everything that you do. Where did you create that document? It doesn't matter. Is it in your internal community? Is it in your external community? So this is a really exciting change to the way they've architected Jive and something that people are really excited about. Now, of course, it's new. It's not out yet, so we have lots of questions, things about how is this going to be different than, say, a single sign-on solution? What is the implications of Jive software sort of knowing everybody's directory? What I mean by that is, if I'm invited into a new community, instead of being asked to create an ID and password, it knows that I already have an identity. Well, that in some way that means it knows like all of the identities and all of the different tools. So how is that securely sort of taken care of? Is this going to work for existing communities, or is it just point in time forward? I imagine it'll work with existing communities, but we'll get those answers. Is it going to work for both on-premises and cloud? So anyway, lots of questions around Jive Identity, but it's a really exciting feature and I think is going to make a dramatic improvement for Jive customers. The next big thing they talked about was sort of the next generation of the collaboration platform itself. So they explained, and a concept I agree with, that different size teams or different types of teams, different style of teams, work in different ways. The tools that are necessary for a giant sort of company-wide, push of communication or company information is very different than a small project team trying to accomplish specific tasks. So what Jive is doing is creating sort of a new user experience for their software Very clear to point out it's not a new product or a separate product. It will be completely integrated with the larger Jive platform, but sort of a new UI for quickly creating a team, sharing messages between that team, sharing files between that team, doing real-time communication and video with that team. So sort of, a more lightweight tool. Now, of course, I can't talk about this topic without bringing up the inevitable. It's how does this compare to sort of the popular tools that people are talking about today, like Slack and River and Kotap and Glip and Highbox and HipChat and all of these sort of next generation tools. How does this differ from what IBM is talking about in the future doing with their Toscana project? How is it different what Microsoft is doing, bringing together their platform around groups and their Delve product? So, really, really good. I'm glad to see Jive doing this, but, we look forward to seeing where it goes in the future. Now, a few things they emphasized when they showed this future demo. They talked about how tasks are going to be a very specific component across what everybody does. If you see a page or a person, you can assign tasks from anywhere. Tasks can span across communities, all sorts of really exciting things around tasks. Now, those of you that follow me know task management is one of my main coverage areas. So tools like Asana and Rike and Trello and Workfront and PlanView and Clarizen and all these tools, and Microsoft Planner, building these things in. It's good to see that Jive realizes the need to have what I call structured collaboration. Instead of project management, it's really about collaborating, but collaborating with things like accountability and milestones and things. So I call it structured collaboration, and I'm excited to see that Jive is bringing that forward. They also showed a feature called Copy Document, so you can move content from one community into another. So the example they showed is maybe an internal knowledge base where you document how to accomplish something, and then your support people push that documentation out to 1, 2, 3, 100 maybe customer communities. So you can share information across all of those communities. Now, what's really cool about it is that Jive will keep track of the master document plus all the places you copy it to. So if you go and update that master document, you can push all those changes out to all those communities. So that's really neat. They also showed really quickly some video integration and subtly mentioned the fact that it's not actually a Jive feature, it's actually powered by integration with their partner Video. So really neat integration there. So anyway, it's sort of the next generation future versions of Jive. Look forward to seeing it. I was glad to see them sort of point, show us their vision and show us how they want to improve collaboration, show us how they want to improve security and identity and all of these things. And I think there's some exciting times ahead for Jive customers. Now, I think they ended the conference in sort of one of the best ways that a vendor can, and that's by inviting everyone back to next year's conference in March in 2017. So they've already showed that we will be back here at the Aria Hotel. So I look forward to being there. I hope to see all of you there. And if you have any questions about what I've talked about today, please feel free to reach out to me by any means, social media or email or any way you'd like to connect with me. This is Alan Lepofsky for Constellation Research covering JiveWorld 2016. Happy collaborating, and I hope to speak to you soon. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.